I grew up in a small town called Queenstown in New Zealand. Back in the 1990s, there were no computer stores stocking the latest hardware, and most people didn't even own a computer. I also knew nothing about computers at this time, yet alone any 3D accelerated hardware. The Voodoo series of graphics cards was groundbreaking. Up until a few years ago, I had no idea what kind of 3D gaming these 90s computers were capable of. So, I took a look back on the past to see what I was missing out on, and to experience the amazing power of the 3DFX card and its Glide API. First, some quick history. This is just a quick dive in. There are many other videos that explain this much better. But the story basically goes, some brainiacs from Silicon Graphics branched off into a separate division or department called Elusive Pelusive. Well, not really elusive, just Pelusive. I couldn't find a logo on Google. Then Pelusive was basically bought by MediaVision in '92. Around this time, some of these people left to form their own company. So, the world was blessed in 1994 with the arrival of 3DFX. These people consisted of Gary, Scott, Ross and Gordon Campbell, not the suit. Gordon gave the ex-SGI team the expertise and backing required from his venture called Tech Farm. The team managed to pull off a feat that would not be seen in the PC gaming industry for years to come. In early October of 1996, the Voodoo1 was released. It ended up being a huge success for 3DFX. The Glide API was key to the card's performance. It was easier for developers to program for at the time, allowing for many developers to adopt that API. Direct 3D was considered quite awkward and clunky at that time. And so, throughout 1996 and 1997, 3DFX was on top of the world, being a market leader in 3D computer gaming technology. Many more games came out, natively supporting the Glide API, making for quite the library of content. It was an amazing time. However, the 90s proving to be a rapidly changing environment for computer technology did not exclude 3DFX from the terrible fate. The Voodoo 3 came out in December of '98. It was a hugely hyped product, but in fact was barely faster than the competing NVIDIA TNT2. It also lacked the future-proofing 32-bit color palette, limited to just 16. And to make things worse, the NVIDIA GeForce 256 came out in '99 with extremely fast single-chip performance. It was also around this time that Microsoft's Direct 3D and OpenGL had aged better. It became easier for developers to write for more 3D hardware, supporting many other cards and vendors. 3DFX purchased STB Systems in December of '98. It was intended to give 3DFX access to STB's OEM sales channels, but the two never quite gelling right and the companies never integrating smoothly led to more financial difficulty for 3DFX. With more financial loss and competing cards outperforming their offerings, 3DFX eventually sold to NVIDIA sometime in December of 2000. Been active in the PC gaming industry for 6 short years. And with the end of the story, I begin mine with this first look into my first Voodoo1 card. Right, so here are the two cards I have in front of me. On the bench, the Voodoo1 of course, in a nice black PCB layout here. Normally these things are green, but I found a black one. I bought this thing not knowing it's working, so that will be a fun one to test. And the Matrox something or other. I think this is G200 something or other. can't quite remember the model, but I wanted something with the best VGA output I could get, and these cards are renowned for having that, so I figured it would pair well, given I'm daisy chaining the two together, and a log can be one of those things where it's hit or miss depending on the quality you get. And then on the right, you'll see there in the wee baggie, I have the piggyback cable. This is to connect the Voodoo1 to the Matrix card because it doesn't do 2D, and there's a part number there for that. Around starting from the middle is a USB 2 card, just a generic Belkin model. We've got a D-Link Ethernet card and a Sound Blaster Vibra 16 CT2900. Also, just above that is the Socket 7 CPU itself with the 200 MHz MMX capability. Very exciting. Around the front we have just a 3.5 inch floppy disk drive, a 5.25 inch floppy disk drive, and a 40 times CD-ROM drive from my first computer. Just fitting the Matrix 2D video card first, and then the Voodoo card. Probably see on my finger there some bandages. The joys of working on these old machines is you get fingers shredded. So anyone who's worked on these old machines will have a supply of bandages on hand. This was no exception. God knows what I cut myself on, but I'll get my revenge back by securing the computer. And there we go, that is installed. Now just to fit the little piggyback cable onto the 2D video card into the input of the Voodoo. Pretty simple, if I can get it around the right way. Now that the cards are all installed, I'm going to throw the lid on this pig and fire it up. Get Windows 95 freshly installed. Hopefully the card works because it was bought unknown. So anyway, we'll just crack on. Okay, at this point I'm pretty much just going to run through the setup pretty quickly for Windows 95. I'll just speed some of the footage up so you guys don't have to sit there and watch it. But the cards appear to be working just fine. I've copied the drivers over after the format, of course, to my compact flash card, as well as a bunch of games and other applications and things we might need for the test. But yeah, I'm one of those people that tends to copy all the cab files over to the C drive, just so I don't have to keep inserting the disk on the install. So yeah, it just makes life a bit easier. My top tip for anyone who hasn't sort of done that. But yeah, we'll just zip through this really and get straight into it.
High noon in the Windy City. Get ready to head downtown for a showdown. Welcome to the city of Chicago. I gotta say, I'm rather fond of this town, so please, try to leave it where you found it. to run, especially in Chicago.
As I expected. Get away from there, Freeman. I'm expecting an important message.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but I
My
gotta say,
God, what are you doing?
Come on, Gordon. You trying to get me into trouble?
Freeman?
All pods launched. Establish communications. Priority Alpha.
Computer updated. Computer updated.
80% failing soundtrack.
Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated.
Upon testing the DOS game, the footage you saw before was from another video card, 2D one. The Matrix card that I wanted to use or put in initially suffered from really bad screen tearing, which you can see in the footage here. But I narrowed it down just to that card. So I don't know if there's an issue with these sort of games with that particular card, but like anything's possible. So I switched in this SIS card, which appears to have really good compatibility, which got me the DOS gaming footage you saw before. But yeah, other than that, not a major, and it still produces a pretty nice VGA output. After spending a bit of time with the card, I'm absolutely blown away with the performance that you can eke out of such a system. this is a 200 megahertz CPU, and it's, you know, they're not renowned for their 3D gaming capability, but the Glide API just really unlocks a lot of the fun that you can get out of gaming on such a machine. So yeah, it's been a real blast. It's a shame that you know, the company's no longer around, but at least, you know, they still release some products which are useful for today's vintage gaming. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.